The Victorian shambles and the stresses and strains of the pandemic are testing tempers in politics across the country. Tonight I'll show you some emotional responses related to the coronavirus struggle. One is restrained, passionate and understandable. The other is inexcusable. Let's start with Treasurer Josh Frydenberg speaking on this station earlier today. He's a proud Melburnian, a Carlton supporter with a young family and elderly loved ones living in the city. He's living the painful reality of what's unfolding in the Victorian capital. At the end of last year, Frydenberg was on track to be the first Treasurer in over a decade to deliver a surplus. Now he's had to blow the budget for decades to come to pay for COVID-19 shutdowns. So he's got a lot on his plate, and the shambles of what's unfolded in Victoria doesn't help on a number of levels.
What happened in quarantine were significant failures that cannot be repeated. We are in a state of crisis right now. The emotional toll on Victorian families, on young women who are trying to homeschool their kids and hold down a job at the same time, they're the real issues. I'll let Daniel Andrews explain what happened on quarantine. That's for him to explain. That's for him to account for. Ultimately, we're all Australians and we're all in this together. And as a Victorian, I feel so devastated about what has transpired in my state. It should have never got to this. But I'm not serving Victorians or Australians by engaging in a slanging match. My support goes to the Victorian people at this difficult time.
Now, Frydenberg is not attacking Daniel Andrews there. He's just showing his frustration and his passion. Fair enough. Good on him. Most Victorians, surely, most Australians, couldn't disagree with a word he said. But let me show you the New South Wales Health Minister in that state's parliament last night. Now, this clip was put together by the Labor opposition, but it just shows us the worst of Brad Hazzard's behaviour last night. It was during a debate with the opposition leader Jodi McKay about whether masks should be made mandatory.
Do we or don't we have enough face masks?
She's a goose, don't worry about it. I heard the leader of the opposition, the temporary leader of the opposition, actually being a complete pork chop out there today. Quite stupid. So you've got to say, oh, the cakes weren't quite right, or this wasn't quite right.
Please
quite
just
stupid.
Seat for the moment.
We should all wait with bated breath for you to leave and somebody else to come along.
The question is, do we or don't we have enough face masks?
You certainly need one. Just be quiet, seriously. Oh, for heaven's sakes. You wouldn't fit into... Anyway, no, it'd be nice. When I was a teacher many years ago, there were a couple of kids in the class like you, and normally they went down to 6 pretty quickly, because that's what you should be doing, carrying on like that. That's just stupid. If I was sitting next to someone like you in a bus, I would definitely have a mask on. You are as irrelevant as you will ever be. Seriously, you are clearly irrelevant. Very frustrating and very annoying.
Minister for Health, you can also be that.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Here's a Health Minister. I would ask that he stop attacking me over the table and just answer the question.
Now, that is not okay. That is bully boy abuse. It is sexist abuse. None of the stresses and strains of the pandemic excuse that sort of behaviour. Apart from anything else, when we face so many challenges across this country, taxpayers don't want to see politicians, the politicians they pay for, behaving in such an ugly and immature manner. The only saving grace for Hazzard is that he accepted his fault and apologised this morning. But really, that behaviour is just not good enough. This is the same bloke who oversaw the Ruby Princess shambles. Maybe it's all too much for him, and it's time to move on.